and we're going to try to finish then that lecture. If we finish, we're going to start a new one, but I believe that we have some more elements to cover. So give me a second. I am going to play it now. All right, first, sorry, that's the recording. So I was going to ask you first, before starting, Nazarena, what do you remember about this lecture? Remember, we're talking about economics and microenterprises. How can you summarize everything that we covered so far?
Okay, teacher, it's about the leads that the bank made, and to, above all, to a small business.
Good. And what elements in detail are developed here? What happens, for example, if you are an entrepreneur, you want to start your business, you need capital, what do those people do? What happens, for example, if they work in an informal way? And we've seen some alternatives, right? For example, Grameen Bank that offers something for poor people. But how can you explain that? How can you summarize that information, Nazareth?
Okay, teacher. Well, in the small business try to borrow money of maybe illegal or other source of money, but no, it's about it's not with a bank. So they try to borrow money, and later their rate interests are very high. So later in this lecture, talk about this kind of bank that they talk about. They found other ways to lead money to poor people with some steps and things that they have to make.
Great, exactly, with some conditions, right, that they have to fulfill in order to get it. Great. So I'm going to look for that specific part, and here we are. So I don't know if we got to play this part with you, Nazarene, about the peer group. Do you remember about the peer group? That is one of the conditions.
Yes, I remember that some conditions was that the bank needs like a group of like 6 people of the company, one guarantee person, the the manager, and the bank also can make some meetings with them, and they have to show to the bank the business plan.
All right, good. I think we're good. We're only going to make some changes. I remember that that's the last part that we covered. I am going to play that part one more time in Nazarena, but this time I'm going to do it with the captions. All right. And we're going to try to understand everything. So I'm also going to be playing and stopping so that we repeat, and you're going to explain that part one more time. Okay, so let's listen, and I am going to repeat and explain some parts.
Were applied. These conditions included the use of peer group pressure to...
Okay, so we're talking about the conditions. And he says, these conditions included the use of peer group pressure. So what do you think is this, Nazarena? What is peer group pressure?
Uh, mm, I don't know, like the two people of, yeah, of, yes, a peer. It's two people, two persons, two people. Yeah.
Close. More than that one, actually. Peer, it's a term that refers to someone that it's like you. But for example, in your case, Nazarene, if I say, who are your peers in this course, then you can say that it's Karen, Lucia, Micaela, right? They are your peers. So peer, okay, is a person that is like you that has your same condition. It can be your friend, it can be your colleague, it can be anybody, okay? But it's not two people, it can be 1,000 people, okay? Your peers are only people like you. Now, when you say peer group pressure, I don't know if you've been in that situation, Nazarena. It's like, for example, when you don't want to drink alcohol and your friends say, come on, drink it, right? Yes, you have to do it. If you don't do it, then you're not going to be in the party. Yes, you have to do it. So all the group is
Mm,
pressure.
pressure.
Exactly. So that's peer group pressure. When a group pressures you to do something. All right. So that's one of the conditions, actually. And it's not going to be a management or a manager, as you were saying. Actually, all of them are going to be borrowers like you. Okay. So imagine that you go to the bank and you borrow some money. Other people also go to the bank and borrow some money. So it's going to be a group of borrowers like you, and you are going to pressure each other to do some things. Okay, so that's peer group pressure. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Monitor the loans and guarantee repayment.
Good. So the peer group pressure is going to monitor the loans. It means it's going to be right. So Nazarena, have you paid what you have to pay for the bank? So I'm going to call you. What about now, Nazarena? Have you paid to the bank? And I call you the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So I'm putting some pressure on you to be sure that you are paying your loans, and I'm guaranteeing that you are repaying everything to the bank. Okay, so the
Okay.
guarantee here is not a real guarantee, it's just a verb. I am guaranteeing the bank that I am going to call you every day, Nazarena, to tell you, Nazarena, you have to pay back to the bank. You have to pay to the bank. Okay, that's going to be peer pressure. I'm going to call you every time to remind you what you have to do.
The peer group typically consists of 5 borrowers linked together through the life of a loan.
So this peer, right? These peers are five borrowers, right? So five people that borrow money from the bank, and they are linked together through the life of a loan. It means they all have to pay back to the bank.
The group undergoes a training session and attends weekly meetings with a
This is what you were saying, right? But actually, is that the group, they have to go to training sessions to monitor their peers, and they have to attend weekly meetings. Why? Here they are going to mention the purpose.
bank official. The members monitor how the money is used and scrutinize the business plan of their peers.
Good. So you, as one of the peers, Nazarena, you are going to monitor and control everything that your peer, that your friend, that your colleague, that person is doing. Okay, what are you doing with the money? How's your business going? How much money are you generating? How are you spending the money that you are borrowing from the bank? So you're controlling everything in group. You control to other people, and other people control you. All right, and this is the last part.
Because any one individual's chances of being awarded a loan are dependent on the repayment proficiency of every other member.
Okay, and this last part, in other words, is if one member of the group doesn't pay back to the bank, then you are not going to borrow more money from the bank. Okay, so if you need more money and if you want to get more money from the bank, all the five members from the group, they need to repay the loan. All right, and only if the five members repay that loan, it means that you're going to be selected to obtain more money in case that you need more money. All right, so there are a lot of words that can be difficult to get there, Nazarena, but let me know if you have any questions because you're going to try to explain this one more time. But do you have any questions? Let me know, please.
Yeah, teacher. Um, about the pressure group is of different companies, small companies, or is people of the same company?
They are just clients of the same bank. Okay, those five people in the peer group pressure, they are just clients of the bank. Okay, so the
Ah, okay,
clients,
okay,
if
okay,
they want to receive money from the bank, that's the condition, right? You say,
okay.
so you want money from the bank, so you have to work together. You are going to control each other, and if one of you doesn't pay back, then we are not going to lend money to any of you, right? So it's a condition. You have to work as a group if you want to get money from the bank. All
Okay,
right.
okay, okay.
Good. So let's explain this then one more time, please, Nazarene. How can you explain this first condition to borrow money?
Okay. Um. Well, this condition is about that. Um. The bank create like peer group pressure where is where our clients or customers of the bank, and they monitor and control to the other people to see if they are paying to the bank, how are them business or them companies, their profits of the company, and all above the company, to see if they can pay and if they are paying to the bank. If not, if they don't pay, this can affect to all group, because if one doesn't pay, the other one of the group can't borrow more money. So they work like together.
Perfect. Very good. I think it was very, very well explained, Nazarena. You're right. Good. So I think it's interesting, but now I want to know your opinion, right? To practice speaking in a conversation, Nazarena. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think about this? Do you think that this is a good idea? Because this is actually something that they do. But how do you see working this in your city, for example, in Nazarena? Do you think that this is something that could work?
Mm, I think that it is a good idea, but the problem is that maybe to don't see affect the companies or the customers, they will try to make something bad. Watching in a bad side, I can determine that maybe they can like lie or only said, well, I think that he will pay and we can make whatever thing, I don't know, maybe something bad, and the bank later can be trust in this kind of small business. So it's more complicated, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you for that comment, Nazarena. And you're right, right? It's
Because
hard to control those five people.
yes, because I think that if I am a company and you are other company, and you, I can pay, I can, I am not paying to the bank, you can do anything more, right? It's like, okay, I can't, I am pressure, I am doing pressure or I am pressuring, but I can do more. It's like you don't have the power to make something else to the company.
Yes, that is correct. So they have to trust the people, right? They have to say,
Yeah.
okay, so I know that these five people, they are going to pay back because we trust them, right? I believe that one thing, and just perhaps to finish now, Serena, to mention, is that, or perhaps it was in the next part, but they said that actually at first they only lent very small amount of monies. For example, only $70. All right, so
Mhm.
$70, not a lot, right? Of course, it's money, but it's not a lot, $70. So if they work very well with those $70, then they can get more and more money. So perhaps they have to build that trust, right? And they are only going to lend a big amount of money to trust in that group, right? That five pressure group, only if they showed before that they can be trusted. Right, but once again, as you are saying, they are really risking a lot, right? They are risking a lot because if they decide not to pay or something happens, then they don't have anything against them, and there's not a way in which they can make them pay, right? So yes, there's a lot of perhaps not negative things, but there's a lot of risk for the bank in doing,
Mm,
right? Good.
yeah.
So on my side, that's it for now, Nazarena, because of the time. And I want to know if you have any more questions. We got to see only that, but at least we were having longer conversations. That's important here. So I'm going to show you very briefly the words that you have, right? So you have repayment, you have proficiency, then you have loan. To be awarded, it means that you can receive more money, right? A loan. If you are awarded a loan, it means that you can borrow more money from the bank, right? It depends on how you work as a group. This is an interesting word, scrutinized. It's related to analyze something in detail. Okay, so I am going to analyze and observe your business plan and how it is going. That's something you do with your peers. Then peers, that's another word right over there. Then a bank official, right? It's a person, it's a representative from the bank that is going to help the peers to get trained so that they know how they can
Mhm.
pressure, right? They can pressure or they can control or monitor their peers, right? Or the other people. And linked together, they are connected, right? That's to be linked together, they are connected. And to guarantee something, it means that you can assure that it is going to happen,
Mhm.
right? And I believe that those are the most important words over there, and these three groups, right? Or these three words, peer group pressure. So that's it. I don't know if you have any questions one more time, Nazarena, to finish now.
Um, undergoes teacher.
Yes, in this kind of situation, I'm going to put the word over there. Good. It means that they receive something. Okay, when you undergo a situation, it means it has many meanings. When something undergoes something, it means that it passes a situation. Okay, it's passing through a situation. But in this
Okay.
case, when they say the group undergoes a training session, it means that they receive or they pass through this training session, sorry, to be part of a, I don't know, of this condition to receive the money. All
Okay,
right.
teacher.
Good.
Okay.
Very good. So let's finish over here, please, Serena. As
Mhm.
always, the survey is over there. Let's fill it out, please. And thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow one more time for the last conversation and on Friday for the next class.
Perfect. Thank you, teacher. Good
Bye
night.
bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Okay, now I'm with you, Lucia. How are you, Lucia? How's everything going with you?
Hi, Professor. I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Great, that's good to know. So let's continue working on this. I remember that we got to see the second part, but there were some words that were perhaps misunderstood yesterday. Today we're going to listen to that one more time, once without any captions, and the second time we're going to try to use the captions to see the words and to be sure that everything is going to be clear. All right? So let's
All right.
listen, please, to this part.
from which it is
Okay, here it
impossible
goes. This
to
is the
escape.
second part, and they're going to talk about Grameen Bank.
An initiative pioneered in Bangladesh in 1983 by the Grameen Bank is an attempt to remedy this situation. The goal of this initiative was to help poor people escape from poverty by allowing them to borrow small amounts of money at reasonable interest rates without the necessity of providing
All
collateral.
right, so that's the part. Now, again, here we need to understand that at the beginning, we're still talking about entrepreneurs, right? Small scale entrepreneurs who need capital. they need to get money from anywhere, so they go to money lenders, right? Investors. But the thing is that they have very high interest rates, so it's not a good idea to work with money lenders. And something that also happens is that there's a reduction in the net income, right? And that's negative for the entrepreneurs. So that being stated over there, this next part of the listening, right, it's about an alternative or a possible solution for that situation. So let's try to explain one more time, Lucia. What can you tell me about this second part? Anything that you were able to get?
Sorry. That it was an initiative from Greenman Bank to help people to in poverty situations to help, and it was an example on Bangladesh, and it mentioned that the loans that they are gonna give was reasonable amounts. Yeah, until that is that. Teacher, your
Yeah.
microphone.
I forgot that one as well. So okay, good, good. Now, if I ask you, what is the characteristic? I mean, talking about, I think this is what you were saying. Talking about the interest rates. What is the adjective that you can use? I think you used already that adjective. How are the interest rates in this bank?
Reasonable.
They are reasonable, exactly. And talking about the amount of money, how much money do they lend?
Yeah, I can take note about that fact.
Good.
I
It's just a
couldn't.
small detail. Yeah, it's something that they say very, very rapidly. So they only say that they lend small amounts, okay? Small amounts of money at reasonable prices. Everything is good. Now, I don't know if you remember that yesterday we got to understand the last part, right? They say that they don't need collateral. So what was collateral, Lucia? Do you remember?
Yeah, collateral. Uh, I can explain better than translate. I think so. It's when, for example, you have a when the bank or an institution gives to you a loan. Sometimes, like, it's a kind of guarantee, we can say, to make sure that you are going to give the money again, something like that.
Exactly, that's correct.
Return
So
the
that's
money,
the
yeah,
collateral.
or the loan.
Good. And what about Grameen Bank? Is this bank requiring collateral or not?
I think no, because
Yes, they
it's
are
for
not.
the main objective, the main goal. It's for helping people help in poverty situations.
Okay, correct. Exactly. They are working, as they say here directly, right? With poor people, they don't have properties. So traditional banks don't want to work with them because they don't have properties. But Grameen Bank is a different bank, right? So they want to do something differently. All right, so good. I am going to play it once again, this time with the captions. Let me know if one of these words is going to be kind of difficult to get or something new that we can talk about. All right, so let's take a look at this.
Arrangement can trap a small-scale entrepreneur in a cycle of debt from which it is impossible to escape. An initiative pioneered in Bangladesh in 1983 by the Grameen Bank is an attempt to remedy this situation. The goal of this initiative was to help poor people escape from poverty by allowing them to borrow small amounts of money at reasonable interest rates without the necessity of providing collateral.
All right, so that was the part. We're going to go to the next one, but I want to know if you have any questions about those words or that information, Lucia.
Just attempt, teacher. What is the meaning?
Attempt, remember, an attempt is when you try to do something, right? So, for example, that's your first attempt. It means it's the
Yeah,
first time
yeah.
that you tried,
Right, yeah, right.
right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
So let's go to the next part. We're going to use the time. Yes, we have the 3 minutes. The next part is going to continue with that logic. Let's do the same, please, Lucia. Let's take notes. I'm going to play it 2 times and we try to understand as much as we can. So here we go.
The idea has now spread throughout much of the world and has been responsible for making significant inroads into both rural and urban poverty in developing countries. The founder of the Grameen Bank, an economics professor named Mohammed Yunus, understood that because of the risk and expense involved, traditional banks would not lend money to poor people who have no property to use as collateral. But he discovered that poor borrowers would maintain a good loan repayment rate if interest rates were realistically set and if certain other conditions were applied.
Okay, so that is the part that we're going to analyze now, at least a little bit. I am going to play it one more time. Lucia, again, let's try to take notes to understand and try to explain this part. Okay, so here we go. This is the second time.
Now spread throughout much collateral. The idea has now spread throughout much of the world and has been responsible for making significant inroads into both rural and urban poverty in developing countries. The founder of the Grameen Bank, an economics professor named Mohammed Yunus, understood that because of the risk and expense involved, traditional banks would not lend money to poor people who have no property to use as collateral. But he discovered that poor borrowers would maintain a good loan repayment rate if interest rates were realistically set and if certain other conditions were applied.
All right, so that's it. Let's try to explain this part now, please, Lucia. What can you tell me about it?
It's about the founder, the explanation of the founder of Grameen Bank, that it was a economic professor that says that, of course, for a traditional bank, this kind of loans means a big risk. But like his explanation about that is that could be that for a traditional bank, but the keyword or the main part here is that the poor borrowers are going to return money with more easily in that times. It's like they have like more engagement in that. So it's a kind of way. So for them they work that, and it's a good condition, or is like the basis of that how it works, this technique or this hermeneutic.
Okay, good. I have only 2 questions to like close everything up. I think it was very well explained. Just 2 details because they are not clear to finish today. And the first one, what is the main limit for traditional banks and why they don't want to lend money to poor people? What do you say?
I couldn't understand, teacher, the thing that says enrolled. What is enrolled?
Yes, inroads, right? It's ADS. That's only at the beginning. Actually, that's something different because they are talking the connection between rural and like more city-like areas, and it's creating a connection between those places. They say because of this way of working. All right, but that's something extra because they say that this way of working, the Grameen Bank way, is spread now around the world. And as it is spread around the world, everybody's imitating that way of working, including rural areas. All right. And they are only saying at the beginning that that way of working is creating a connection between rural areas and more urban areas. All right. That was said at the beginning. But after that, they say something about the banks, the traditional banks, and they explain why they don't want to lend money to poor people. And it's related to the first explanation, Lucia. What is something that Grameen Bank doesn't require from the people to lend money.
Yeah, I forgot the name,
The
but
collateral.
the collaterals. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the main reason why traditional banks don't want to borrow money to poor people. All right. Actually, I'm going to show you, and it is going to be here. All right. They would not lend money to poor people who have no property to use as collateral. All right. So they are not going to do it because of that. Okay. That's the simple reason why they won't lend money to poor people. But as you said very well, Mohammed Yanas, right? He, with Grameen Bank, he is willing to do it, but under conditions. And here in this part of the lecture, to finish again, only one condition was mentioned. I don't know if you were able to listen to that condition. You talked about it in a different way, right? Because they are going to pay back. But what is the condition for them to pay back? I mean, what is the way in which the Grameen Bank organization works so that poor people can return the money without any problems? What do you say? What could it be?
I heard that I think it's like more like an engagement from them, that it is different because yeah, maybe they don't have money, but they are more responsible to return that.
Okay, yes, in a certain way, yes, but actually, he's not going to be trusting in how responsible they can be. He's going to do something to help them return the money. Okay, I'm just going to play this part. It's very, very short.
He discovered that poor borrowers would maintain a good loan repayment rate if interest rates were realistically set and if
Okay, so that's the reason. One more time.
poor people who have no property to use as collateral. But he discovered that poor borrowers would maintain a good loan repayment rate.
Okay, so he discovered that poor borrowers, right, would maintain a good repayment loan. It means they are going to repay the money that they have borrowed if, okay, this is the condition,
If interest rates were realistically set
and that's the condition actually. Then he mentioned something else. If interest rates were realistically set. It means that I am going to give you a generous amount of time for you to repay what you have to repay and the interests that you have to pay back. All right, that's actually his idea. If you are reasonable, if you put realistic interest rates, then they are going to pay you back. All right, so that's the idea. That's the first condition. And I am just going to show you those words to finish now over here. Right? So they maintain a good loan repayment rate if interest rates were realistically set. And at the end, he says, and if other conditions are established. So that's it, Lucia. I don't know if you have any questions about these words to finish the conversation.
No, teacher, just rate is like a period, a kind of period, right?
Yes, sometimes it's related to the frequency in which something happens. It's related sometimes also to the percentage with which some things can occur, and also to the period of time. All right, in this case, it's related to a period of time as well. All right.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Professor.
Good. There you go. So as always, please, Lucia, you can find the survey down below. Let's answer those questions, and that's it for now. We are going to continue working tomorrow. Perhaps we're going to work with a different material this time. And if you have also something that you want to work with, you let me know. All right. Have a good night and see you tomorrow, Lucia.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye, teacher. Bye, Michaela. Bye.
Bye. Good. All right. Now I'm with you, Michaela. Thanks for waiting once again. I'm always using a little extra time, but how are you? Is everything okay?
Yes, teacher. I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. So, look, I have two options for you now, Michaela. I know that here perhaps you have interesting vocabulary that you can keep working on. So, do you want to keep working one more time with the next part of this video because we have some information left? Or do you want to work with a different material because I also have other videos that we can listen to? So, what would you like to do, Michaela?
Maybe we can watch the new material.
Yeah, a new one you said? Another video?
Yes, yes, the new material.
Okay, good. So I am going to show you then the options that we got, and you're going to tell me perhaps what works for you. I have three options for you, Michaela. One is a video, and this is a video, not just listening, about why some people are left-handed, right? Left-handed, you use your left hand or right hand, right? The other one is about this. What's the point of blood type, right? You can be O, you can be A, you can be B, right? Blood type. So what is the point of that? This is only listening from the BBC. And the last one is what happens if you cut down all of the city's trees. In other words, this video is explaining the importance of trees in cities. So which one would you like to work with, Michaela?
Mm, the last, why cities need trees?
This one, what happens if,
Yes.
or what's this one, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
So let's listen, please. I am going to play the first part, and this is going to be the story. No, actually, I am going to play this part. This here we have more interesting vocabulary. Why? Because you're going to pay attention to, please, the benefits of trees in cities. All right, the story, we're going to take a look at that tomorrow, but this is the most important part. Let's listen, please, and let's take notes if you can.
But trees have always been an essential part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Roots help prevent floods while reducing the need for storm drains and water treatment plants. Their porous leaves purify the air by trapping carbon and other pollutants, making them essential in the fight against climate change.
So I am going to play it once again. As always, I play it 2 times. And let's try to get, all right, all those benefits that trees give us when they are part of the cities. Okay, as you were able to listen to, we have at least 4 or 5 benefits, okay? 5 different benefits. But let's try to get as many as we can. Okay, so this is the second time.
Are urban spaces, but trees have always been an essential part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Roots help prevent floods while reducing the need for storm drains and water treatment plants. Their porous leaves purify the air by trapping carbon and other pollutants, making them essential in the fight against climate change.
All right, so what can you tell me about that part, Michaela?
Okay. First, the trees are like sponge. They absorb the water for the rain, I think. Also, they transform the carbon in oxygen. um, there are some parts that I can understand, but I am not familiarized with the word. But the video was talking about the trees can like prevent I don't know the words in English, but prevent inundaciones y sorry, I because of the context, I can understand the video, but I am not familiarized with all the words.
It's great. Actually, the idea, right, is that we can understand and we can get those new words. I think you did it great. The thing that you said is correct, right? The word in Spanish. You're going to listen to it one more time. I'm going to play those specific parts, all right? I'm going to repeat some words. The three, actually, you mentioned three benefits. They are great. They absorb the water, right? They are like sponge, as they were saying, right? Or like a sponge or like sponges. Both of them are going to be correct. But what also happens there, Michael, I'm going to draw something for you. So when the water goes down, right, the trees absorb the water, but then something else happens. Well, how can you explain this thing that I'm drawing?
Like come back to the atmosphere.
Good, exactly. And they use this phrasal verb to release back, right? To release
Release.
something back, it means that you are returning that. So good.
Okay.
So great, right? When it's raining, they absorb the water. They sometimes they keep some of that water, right? Because they like that's the way they use the nutrients. And then the water goes up again. It means they are releasing the water back into the atmosphere, right? So good. That is the first one. In the second one, I'm just going to play that part, okay? Just that part. Let's listen.
Or runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere.
Okay, so that's the last part that we mentioned.
The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins.
Here we have two benefits. Okay, I'm going to play it once again.
Or releasing it back into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water, and webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins.
All right, so what can you tell me about it? There are a lot of new words, I know, but how can you explain this part over here?
Well, I remember they retain water and filter taxes, I think. I am not sure about the word.
It is good to filter, and actually it's two words, okay, because it's a phrasal verb, to filter out. Filter out means to eliminate. Okay, so they filter out toxins. They eliminate toxins.
Okay.
Good. And what about the first part? What is, they say this word, webs. What is the web of the tree, or what are the webs of the trees?
It's like how can I the base of the tree.
Exactly. And more than the base is what's underground, right? All these webs, it means all those like parts of the tree that are under the ground, right? And that are sustaining the ground. And as you said, yes, it's part of the base. It is, but it is underground, and the base it's a little bit like on the ground, right? So good. So what is the purpose, or what do they do? What do the webs of the trees do, Miguel? They
I
prevent
understand.
something.
I understand that the benefit is they prevent. I don't know the word in English, but derrumbes or.
Okay, good. And yes, I believe that's going to be the word in Spanish, right? Because that's when the ground, when the land, right, gets wet and gets soft and it goes down, right? And it can destroy everything. So yes, I believe that's the word. In English, it is going to be, I am going to show you, right, to be finishing. Micaela, it is going to be mudslides.
Oh, mudslides.
Exactly. Okay, so the webs of their roots protect against mudslides, and as you were saying, while allowing soil, the soil is the ground, right? The soil to retain water and filter out, right? As I told you, two words, phrasal verb, to eliminate the toxins.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is what you were saying. This is the word over here. Let me look for it. This. Also the roots, right? The webs of the roots. These are the roots. They help prevent. This is the word that you said at the beginning, Michaela, right?
Okay. Fruits.
And this is an exception in pronunciation. It's going to be only floods.
Floods.
Floods,
Okay.
exactly. So they prevent mudslides. They prevent floods, right? They eliminate the toxins. They absorb the water from the raining, and they release back that water into the atmosphere, right? So those are some of the benefits. There's one more, but it's the one that you were actually, this is something we're going to leave for tomorrow, this the benefit, but I'm going to go to the last one that you also mentioned. But in the tail, the porous, right? You have porous in your skin. Also, the
Okay.
leaves have porous, right? The porous leaves purify the air by trapping carbon and other pollutants, and also, as you mentioned before, making them essential right in the fight against climate change. In other words, they also create oxygen in exchange, right? So the word over there is from the leaves. They purify the air and they eliminate other pollutants. So that's it for now, Mikhail. I don't know if you have any questions about those new words. Remember, they are going to be a release something back. It is going to be mudslides, floods, and these words that you see over here. All right, to purify and to also filter out, right? That means eliminate something. So do you have any questions or comments about that?
About the new words, release or release back. We can use in like informal conversation. Yeah, like I release back this book.
In
Or
this case, more actually, it's not going to be possible in that case. Why? Because to release is like to liberate, to make something free.
okay, okay.
All right. So you only say I give it back, right? I return it. You can say directly, I returned the book, okay? Or I gave it back to you. Okay, so to give back or to return is better in that situation about the book, Michaela. But release back implies something that was trapped and then it was released. All right, only in that situation when you make something free, when you let something go because it has a force that wants to go. That's why you can only release, for example, water because the water flows. You can release an animal because the animal wants to escape, and you can release again emotions. That's something that you can release. Okay, so you only release things that are dynamic and that move. All right. In other cases, you only say give back or return something.
Okay. In the case, I am not sure if this is possible. For example, like aduana release back the products that uh, um, were in container. Maybe we can use.
Yes, in that case, yes. If they were keeping those products by force or because of a certain protocol, right? You can say that they release those products, okay? But
Okay.
in the sense that they are making them available one more time, or they are returning that to the owners. But only if they were kept there by force or by a certain process, but the products had to go somewhere else. So in that situation, it is possible to say that.
Okay. Okay. I
All
understand.
right.
Thank you, teacher.
Good. Very good. Now you're welcome. As always, please, Michaela, the survey is down below. Let's answer to those questions. And I hope you have a great night. And I'll see you tomorrow for we're going to continue working on this conversation.
Okay. Thank you, teacher. See you tomorrow.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
Javi.
Good night.
Bye, Michaela.
All right. Now, Karen, good evening. How are you? How do you feel today?
Hi, teacher. Good evening. I'm fine, thank you, teacher. Right now, I'm not in my house, so this is the reason that I don't put my camera.
Don't worry. It's okay, Karen. You're always with your camera, even perhaps more than I turn mine. So don't worry, all right? Don't worry, it's great, it's good, Karen. The important thing is that you can listen to what we're going to do, right?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So again, I'm going to give you options. You already worked one of these elements with me, Karen, and I believe two, but actually you
Yes.
have more options. One of them is that you can continue working with me the video that we were watching yesterday. I mean, the listening exercise about economics. You can continue and finish working that with me, or you can choose one of these three videos because I believe that we didn't work the three of them. So which one
Uh,
or what would you like to do?
with we worked with why are some people and what is the point of lot. We worked, but with the third video, we don't do
Okay,
it.
this one, right? What happens if you cut? So would you like
Yes.
to work with this one then?
Yes.
Okay, good. So here, the first part of this video, Karen, is about a story. All right, or perhaps
Okay.
perhaps you covered this with me. It's about Uruk and Anuradhapura. You didn't see this with me, right?
No, with you no.
Okay, okay, good.
I don't. I didn't see the video before.
Okay, okay, perfect. Then it's very good. So this is a tale. Do you know what a tale is?
Tale is like a story.
Exactly. It's a story, and it can be based on something real, but it's not something real, right? A tale is something that you uh, tell, right, to your, I don't know, your niece, to your nephew, and it has something of value, right? It has like something that is being taught, right? In other words, it teaches something, right? So that's a tale. Here, this is a tale, and it's about these two cities, Karen, Uruk
Okay.
and Anuradhapura. What you have to pay attention to here, Karen, because it can be a little bit difficult in terms of the words, you have to pay attention to the importance of trees in cities. All right, that's what they want to
Okay.
teach here, the importance of trees, why it is good and, and the best idea to have trees in cities. If you don't have trees, bad things can happen, and that's what the story is going to show you. All right, so let's listen and let's watch, please. This time you have video, so it's going to help understanding the context and the new words.
Okay.
This is the tale of two ancient cities and the trees that determined their destinies. In 3000 BC, Uruk was more densely populated than modern-day New York City. This crowded capital had to continually expand their irrigation system to feed its growing population. 2,500 years later, in Sri Lanka, the city of Anuradhapura had a similar problem. They were also growing constantly, and like Uruk, their city relied heavily on an elaborate irrigation system. As Uruk grew, its farmers began chopping down trees to make space for more crops. In Anuradhapura, however, trees were sacred. Their city housed an offshoot of the Bodhi tree, under which Buddha himself was said to have attained enlightenment. Religious reverence slowed farmers' axes and even led the city to plant additional trees in urban parks. Initially, Uruk's expansion worked well, but without trees to filter their water supply, Uruk's irrigation system became contaminated. Evaporating water left mineral deposits, which rendered the soil too salty for agriculture. Conversely, Anuradhapura's irrigation system was designed to work in concert with the surrounding forest. Their city eventually grew to more than twice Uruk's population, and today, Anuradhapura still cares for a tree planted over 2,000 years ago.
So that's the tale, all right? I am going to play this one more time. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds. It's not that long, but it's long compared to what we usually listen to. And again, this is the only part of the video that we're going to work on today because it's long. So it's important to try to get as many details as we can. Karen, I'm going to ask you some questions. First, only a summary, and then I'm going to
Okay.
ask you specific questions, all right? But let's listen one more time, okay? Let's take notes and let's listen one more time, please.
This is the tale of two ancient cities and the trees that determined their destinies. In 3000 BC, Uruk was more densely populated than modern-day New York City. This crowded capital had to continually expand their irrigation system to feed its growing population. 2,500 years later, in Sri Lanka, the city of Anuradhapura had a similar problem. They were also growing constantly, and like Uruk, their city relied heavily on an elaborate irrigation system. As Uruk grew, its farmers began chopping down trees to make space for more crops. In Anuradhapura, however, trees were sacred. Their city housed an offshoot of the Bodhi tree, under which Buddha himself was said to have attained enlightenment. Religious reverence slowed farmers' axes and even led the city to plant additional trees in urban parks. Initially, Uruk's expansion worked well, but without trees to filter their water supply, Uruk's irrigation system became contaminated. Evaporating water left mineral deposits, which rendered the soil too salty for agriculture. Conversely, Anuradhapura's irrigation system was designed to work in concert with the surrounding forest. Their city eventually grew to more than twice Uruk's population, and today, Anuradhapura still cares for a tree planted over 2,000 years ago.
All right, so there you go. Let's start, please, Karen. How can you summarize? This is a long tale, but how can you summarize the main ideas from it?
Well, okay. The tale started with two different cities, and talk about the developing of these cities and how the trees contribute to this develop. Then in the first city, Uruk, we have well, the city start with a good beginnings, and when this city continue to develop, they cut their trees, and they continue expanded more and more, but without the trees, they had a problem with the water, with their system of the water. So they well, they have a problem, right? They couldn't continue develop. And with the other city that I don't know the name because it's long, they develop like the first city, but the difference is that they take care about the trees, and until now they take care trees that that have a lot of years, million, no, yes, I think million of years, and this city develop a lot and the other not. I don't know if the first city disappear, but the first city couldn't develop like the second one.
Very good. Great. I believe that all the main elements were mentioned over there, Karen. That was greatly explained. All right. I'm just going to ask you then for details. That's the only thing. And also, my only recommendations would be if you say they couldn't develop, right? So the stress is going to be in the A, develop,
Yes.
instead of develop.
Yes.
Develop.
Develop.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then, if you want to use develop is a verb, but in one of the cases you use develop as a noun, right? For example, the develop of the city, right? So that's not going to be correct. So instead of the develop, you're going to say the development. Okay, development.
Okay.
Exactly. So the development of the city, right, was due to this and that. But anytime you want to use the development or because of the development as a noun, it's going to be with that ment at the end. All right, development. And there you say the stress in the, oh, right, develop. No, it's in the same part actually. Development. It's always in the A. All right. So develop and development. Always in that A, the stress. That's the only thing, Karen. I believe that everything again was very well explained. So my first question, just to see the details, okay, the very little details. Why did they have problems with the water, with the irrigation system? What was the explanation that they gave us in the video?
Okay, without the trees, uh, the the water, well, first the trees, I don't know how to say that. They clean the water. I don't know the exact word, but without the trees, the water contaminate, and also the soil didn't no no oof, I don't know how to explain this word, didn't well, in the soil, the people couldn't plant uh, plants. But these all disease uh, are the what were the consequence to cut the trees in the first city.
Very good. Great, great. Just the preposition for that one is going to be the consequence of cutting down the
Cut.
trees.
Okay.
And instead of only cutting, you have to use the two verbs. To cut down means that you are making the tree go down, right? So let's repeat that word, please, or that expression, Karen. It's the consequence of cutting down the trees.
The consequence of cutting down the trees.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct. So good. And the words that you used were great, Karen. You can say that, yes, the trees are in charge of filtering out or eliminating the toxins in the soil, right? So if you don't have a tree, then you don't have anything to eliminate those toxins or to even regulate the pH level or the level. If you remember the word that they used here, it was salty. The soil
Yeah.
was too salty to grow, right? New food to grow whatever they wanted to plant, right? And you can call that crops, right? The crops are the areas of soil, right, in which you plant your food and you grow your food. Okay, so you call it crops, the crops. For example, this is crop. This is a crop, right? But it's not working because there's no water, there's no elimination of the toxins, and therefore, right, well, of course, people are not going to live there anymore because they don't have water and they don't have food, right? So as you were saying, we don't know. They didn't say that the city disappeared, but we can hypothesize, right? We can say by guessing that the city disappeared and people moved to a different place because, of course, it's impossible to live without water and without food, right? So good. The next and the last question, Karen, it's about. I'm going to help you out with this picture, but I'm sure that you can remember. So, what was the reason why Anuradhapura, right, the city of Anuradhapura, took care of the trees? There was like an interesting reason why they decided to take care of the trees. What was that?
I think that they believe that the name of the name of someone, I don't know, Buddha, maybe, I don't remember, but then this person, his soul was inside the trees, I think, maybe, or his spirit,
Good.
something like that.
We are close. For example, I don't know. I don't know what your religion is, but imagine that you go to a church in Bolivia. Uh, can you touch or can you play with the figures that you have there? For example, right, there is a Virgin and there is Jesus Christ, right? So can you touch those things? Can you play with those things?
No.
right? And why? What is the explanation? Why can you not do it?
Because some these things are oh are I don't know well, I know the word in Spanish. I don't know how to say the word in English, but it's something special that you can only see, but you can play or touch because it's something important to the religion. And it's like an
Correct.
amulet. No, not amulet. It's like I don't know how
Actually,
to
the
say.
word they are going to use, and you can use this word, is sacred. Okay,
Yes,
I am
this
going
word.
to show you this word. Okay, it is over here. So that was the reason, and what you said was okay. But it's not that actually they believed that Buddha was there, and it was right. It was Buddha, all right. But it's not that they believed that Buddha was in the tree or something like that. No, it was more like the idea of they believed that Buddha was in that tree and that Buddha attained enlightenment. What is to attain enlightenment? I'm going to show you those words. It means alcanzar la iluminación. Okay, and you know that's important in Buddhism. Okay, here you can say under this tree, under which Buddha himself was said to have attained. Attained means to reach something, alcanzar, to attain enlightenment. Okay, and because of that action that they believed that happened under that tree, they consider the tree sacred, right? And if it's sacred, as you were saying very well, Karen, you cannot touch it. So they were taking care of that tree and many other trees because also a consequence of believing that the tree is sacred is that they decided to do what? They decided to plant other trees. So they
Yeah.
reverence the tree, but they also planted one, right? So good. That's the only thing I wanted uh, to ask you and to corroborate over there, Karen. On my side, it is great. There are other words that perhaps are not that clear. So what I want to do, Karen, is the following. Tomorrow we're going to continue working with this video. The video is in Unit 4. Try to watch it one more time. And if you have questions about some of the words, first you can try to look for the words yourself. But if you don't understand some of the words to use them in context, you let me know. And tomorrow we see that before continuing the next part. All right?
Okay, teacher.
Good. So do you have now any questions or comments before finishing?
Teacher, I have a question, but it's a question. It's not about this topic. It's it's fuera de, o sea, es una pregunta muy separada a lo que estamos llevando.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's okay. My boyfriend has an uncle, and this uncle is a doctor, so he is going to go to China or Japan or Korea. I don't know, in 3 months or 4. So I don't know if he knows something or something English or not, but well, right now I'm in his house, so I tell them that I had English classes, so he asked me about this program, so I tell them a little bit, but he is interesting about, but he don't have he doesn't have a lot of time to pass the classes that we usually pass. So I give him your number. So I don't know if he is going to write you or calling you, but I don't know, teacher. This is my question. I don't know. Or I need to pass the number of the administration. But he don't need the courses that this program offer. He only need like a personal classes. But I don't know if you have the time or if he needs to talk to you first.
Good. Thanks, Karen. Yes, I get it. No, it's good. Thanks actually for giving me my number. The thing is, in my case, the time. All right, because of all the things that I'm doing nowadays, it's going to be really hard because after this class, for example, I keep working with my master's degree. Also, I do that on the weekends. So to me, it's going to be really, really hard to have classes outside this schedule. All right, so that's good. That's going to happen. So of course, in case he writes, I'm going to explain that to him. I don't know if we're going to see one possible time to do it, but in my case, at least because of this period of time and the activities that I have, it's going to be really hard to do it. So my recommendation could be the following. You can write actually to Ruth, and perhaps she's going to be able to give you the contact of other teachers that could be able to have these particular classes, right? Because as you are all private classes, because as you said, he's not able to be in this schedule, and that's the only thing that the program offers. So I believe that they are not going to have any problem in giving you perhaps their personal contact to see if they are going to be able to give him some private classes in the time that that person needs those classes. All right. On my side, again, unfortunately, because of the time, is not going to be possible. But I also, if I receive the permission from the other teachers, I can give you those numbers. But it's better in that case if you contact Ruth directly. That's the coordinator, right? And she can give you access to that information. So again, perhaps he can contact them to see what option works for him.
Okay, teacher, thank you for the
All right.
information.
Good. No,
Yes.
you're welcome. Thanks actually for taking me into account, Karen. But yes, again, I will love because I really like to have private classes, but this time it's really hard for me to do it. All right.
Okay, teacher. Okay.
Good.
I will
Great.
talk with Ruth. I forget her name.
Exactly. Ruth. There you go. So, Karen, please, before finishing, the survey is down below. Let's complete, please, that survey and let me know when you do it.
Okay, the survey. It's here. Okay, teacher. Done.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have a good night, and we'll continue working tomorrow with the next part of the video.
Okay, teacher. Have a good night too. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye. See you.
Bye, teacher.